for those who don't know, is that you can actually, the network itself, so all the validators on the network can manually set the gas limit.
Yeah.
So if the whole network wants to increase it, they can. We don't have to wait for one of these upgrades. You can just do it manually. I think there's often a misconception that, oh, Ethereum L1 is scaling, so why do we need L2s? But like L2s, as you mentioned, exist for way more than just scaling.
Yeah.
But the scaling will still be important because Ethereum L1 is never going to be as scalable as the L2s, just by the inherent nature of Ethereum L1 as it exists, wants to be maximally decentralized, but also has to deal with like being a distributed network,
Right. Yeah.
Whereas these L2s don't have to kind of deal with that because they inherit that from Ethereum.
Right.
So the way I see it is that when you're building an app chain or you're building your own chain, you're not just doing it for scaling. Scaling's table stakes. You obviously want to have a scalable system, but you're doing it for other things like privacy or more optionality. Maybe you don't want to use ETH as your gas token. Maybe you want to use something else as your gas token, right? Maybe you want to add new features to it. Maybe you want to use something else. Maybe you don't even want to use the EVM.
Right.
Maybe you want to use some other kind of virtual machine. So I think that's what's going to happen is that like a lot of these, you mentioned Robinhood obviously using Arbitrum's technology, but a lot of these kind of institutions that are coming in, they're going to build their own chains as L2s, and they're going to do it their way. They have the optionality to do what they want, how they want, and privacy is a huge thing too. Ethereum L1 is never going to be like default private.
Yeah.
There's going to be ways to get privacy on Ethereum L1. Already we obviously Tornado Cash, and there was the whole drama around that, right?
Yeah.
But there's other projects I know of, Railgun, 0xBo, there's a few others out there which allow you to get privacy, but it's not default.
Oh.
And I don't think Ethereum L1 is ever going to have like default privacy.
Yeah.
Whereas the L2s, they can. And you've seen Aztec Network is probably the biggest one right now, in terms of like something that's, okay, we're a privacy chain, right? But with these institutional ones, privacy is table stakes again. Because they don't want their competitors seeing what they're doing. They don't want like to leak user information, which is obviously understandable. So I think that that's the main draw over the scaling. Scaling is, yeah, okay, obviously we want these things to scale, but it's also that other stuff. And I think the biggest thing outside of that is tapping into the Ethereum L1 ecosystem of liquidity, of the DeFi stuff, the tokens that are there. And that's why we want to scale up Ethereum L1 to make it more attractive for more capital to come and just keep that flywheel going there. But the goal is to basically scale the gas limit 3x every year going forward. So this year we did 2x. Next year we want to go from 60 million to 180 million at least.
Yes, I think I remember seeing that.
Yeah. And then from there, the following year we want to go from 180 and then 3x that.
Nice.
And then after that 3x. And then with ZK, we can go much further than that. We can go like 100x. We can do something crazy. But like that's more longer term.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's part of the core roadmap now. Yeah, definitely. But in terms like if I was to kind of like nail down specifically what I'm most excited about, it's something called Lean Ethereum. Now, This is what Justin Drake has been working on since last year, or probably before last year. But essentially what it is a massive upgrade to the layer one, not just from a scaling perspective as part of like the ZK stuff, but also from a robustness and security perspective, and basically simplifying the protocol as well and making it like the best possible protocol that we can make it. I haven't been this excited about a roadmap item since the proof of stake launch, essentially, and since the merge. And I think this is like another kind of merge level event for Ethereum, where essentially we have like, it's probably going to take another 2-3 years for this thing to roll out, but we have that happening in parallel with all the other stuff. But that is just, if people want to learn about that, they can go watch Justin Drake on Bankless. He did an episode about this, but essentially like that is just super exciting across all different kind of dimensions there. But that's the kind of stuff that excites me most.